I'm Rob Trauma for Sports on Tap, and we have a very special guest visiting us now on the RRT Productions hotline. He's the head baseball coach at Amherst Steel, the Comets, doing really well so far this year. He's in his sixth season as head coach, and right now I'm sure his record's a little better than this, but 123-45. He was a first-team All-Ohio player at Lorraine Admiral King back in 2000. He held a OHSAA state record for stolen bases in a season with 76. After high school, then he went to Bowling Green State University and was part of the 2002 MAC championship team. Then he went on to coach at Amherst as a freshman coach in 2005, went to the JV team and coached the JV baseball team from 2006 to 2012. And he has been the head coach of the Amherst Varsity baseball team since 2013. We're talking with head coach Matt Rositano. And, Coach, thanks for taking time to join us here.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
You know, looking at your resume, you know, it's funny that we might have actually played versus each other at one point. You know, when I played at Brunswick in 2000, you were at Admiral King and you went on to Bowling Green. You know, talk a little bit about how you got started in baseball, whether you played as a kid. Your dad and your parents probably took you all over the place playing baseball. How did you get started with the game of baseball?
Well, my dad has been, you know, one of the biggest influences, you know, not only baseball, but, you know, life-wise, obviously. And he, you know, he played baseball at Admiral King when he was there. He graduated in 74. He went on to play at Division III school Denison down in Columbus when he was in college. And he kind of instilled that love for the game for me, you know, since I was basically born. I think one of my first baby pictures, I was holding a bat and a ball, you know, so, you know, I started playing T-ball and then, you know, minor league, major league baseball with the Lorraine youth program, you know, when I was little. And then actually from the time when I was 13 to 18, my dad was my summer team coach, Lorraine City Club, who we won a state championship. You know, we won a lot of baseball games. I played with a lot of really good baseball players on my summer teams, and you know, my dad was a big part of that. And I'm lucky enough right now, as the head coach at Amherst, where my dad is my lead assistant coach. That's
awesome.
That's just a phenomenal experience, and you know. He's great to have around. He's great with the kids. You know, I think the kids like him better than me, which, you know, is a little bit natural. You know, the kids like the assistant coach better, but, you know, he's been great and, you know, I love him to death and, it's so much fun being able to work with him now.
That's awesome that, he can be a part of it. And I'm sure, you know, as you continue on, you know, it's nice to have him right there to bounce ideas off of. Has he given you any, advice when you're the head coach or is he just giving you some ideas here and there and saying, you know, you can do this, or you can do whatever, you know, you think is right here?
Oh, you know, my varsity coaching staff, you know, my dad, Dr. David, along with our pitching coach, Mark Coughlin, we have a great chemistry together. You know, practices in between games, you know, at night we're on a group text, you know, talking to each other during games, and I think we have a really good chemistry, which, you know, they can bounce ideas off me, I'll bounce ideas off them, you know, not only, you know, between games and in practice, but during games. You know, we had our sectional final game on Tuesday, and, you know, we're bouncing ideas off of, you know, who should we bring in relief in this situation, You know, we trust each other. We have a really good relationship, the three of us, and you know, so far it's worked out really well.
Yeah, and I think you're seeing it, you know, 22 wins so far this season, only 4 losses. And I think really when you look, and we'll get into the season a little bit here in a little bit, but look at the Amherst Steel baseball program. You know, since you've been head coach, you know, you've had 18 graduates that have gone on to play at the collegiate level. You know, you've had actually a lot of success with a few players that have made it to the major leagues. And we'll talk about Evan Strauber, who's your star pitcher, who, you know, I think is unbelievable. You look at some of his stats and what he's done this year. But talk about a little bit about the program and how you've really developed this program to be a successful baseball program now.
Yeah, I think a lot of it started back in 2005 when my predecessor, Al McConaughey, took over as head coach. And he kind of took the program in the right direction. And he took, he won a couple conference championships. He went to the Sweet 16, and I learned so much from Coach McConaughey. And I was lucky enough to be able to, carry a lot of what he instilled in me over to now that I'm the head coach. I take a lot of what Coach McConaughey gave me, a lot of what, my dad being a former head coach gave me. And I like to combine, I like to take from all places. I use a lot of what my dad used to do when he was a head coach. I use a lot of what Coach McConaughey used to do when he was a head coach. I use a lot of what I learned from Coach Schmitz at Bowling Green when I played there, and I kind of, put everything together with my own style and, try to instill, that winning attitude, that winning environment in our players. And one thing I always tell the kids, and is what I've told them since day one, we're not at Amherst to coach average. We're here to coach great. And great doesn't have to mean that you are a great player or a great talent. If you give us a great effort, you can take average talent and turn that into great play. And I think that's the biggest thing where, if you got kids that are, buying into the system and, giving that great effort, whether it's in the weight room, at an open field, at practice, and then hopefully it carries over to games. If you have kids giving a great effort, whether they're a great talent or not, it's going to turn into great play. And I think the kids, have kind of bought into that, and they're playing with a lot of confidence. And, so far we've been successful with it.
And it seems like you have a really good turnout too for players that come out and play, and I think it shows them, look at the success you've had, and they want to be a part of it. And right now you're 22-4. You guys are outright Southwestern Conference champions this year. You're the number 1 seed in the Lorain District Tournament, which you're still playing in right now. And your last win came against Midview, which I believe it was 5-1. And again, Evan Strauber, I think he recorded his 100th strikeout in that game, and what a game it was. Only giving up, a run, and you guys consistently keep teams, low. Your pitching has been really impressive. You guys are ranked third in the state in the OHSBCA coaches poll, fourth in the PBR Ohio State Power Rankings. I mean, the list goes on, and you guys have been unbelievable this year, outscoring opponents 157-51 on the year. Talk about your team's success so far this season. 22-4 is pretty impressive.
Yeah, the Southwestern Conference is always a grind. We know coming in, it's a 10-team conference, so we're playing 18 conference games. 3 conference games a week. This was an awful spring for weather. There was a couple weeks where we were playing 4, maybe even 5 conference games. And it really tests you as a team. Not to mention, I like playing the best non-conference teams also. I want to see where we're at. I want to play the best competition. And, that will get us ready for, tournament time. And, our kids have been focused, pretty much the whole year. We got off to a pretty good start. We were 4-0 to start the year. We had the 1 week kind of like lull where our bats went quiet. I think all 5 games, we went 2-3, I think the second week of the season. And, we're not making any excuses, but, it was one of those weeks where it's, we're playing games, it's 30 degrees, didn't really hit the ball that well. We came out of that week, we were 6-3. The weather started to warm up. We went on a 10-game winning streak to push us to 16-3. Right now we've won 6 in a row currently, 16 of our last 17. We're playing really, really good baseball right now. Our pitchers are throwing strikes. Our defense is making plays behind our pitchers, and we're starting to rack up some hits, and that's a good combination to playing really good baseball.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just needed the weather to heat up a little bit, because I remember those days when you get a few rainouts and the weather's cold, and it is tough to really stay focused if you're a high school athlete. How do you get these high school athletes and baseball players? You said they went 2-3 in the second week of the season, to really refocus and bounce back and get on the kind of roll that you guys are on, because that's pretty tough to do, especially when you're a little bit down in the dumps after, losing 3 out of 5 games.
Yeah, one thing we talked about, like I said, that week we really didn't hit the ball well as a team or, as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we talked about, going into the preseason, and one thing we constantly talk about, even in between innings of games, is make sure we have a disciplined approach at the plate. The pitcher has to get you out. You don't have to get a hit. If he doesn't throw you a strike, you're on base, and you can start a rally with a leadoff walk. So keeping with a disciplined approach at the plate, early in the count, we're swinging at your pitch, not his pitch. And we've been able to do that lately. Our team batting average is up to 310, which is phenomenal.
Wow.
Especially with that one really bad week that we had there at the beginning of the season. And we have guys that are just locked in right now and are really driving the baseball. And one of the things we talked about going into the season is, we thought we were going to have a really good pitching staff, obviously led by Evan Strauber, who's been absolutely phenomenal. But we thought the entire pitching staff was going to be really good. So one thing we were telling our guys constantly, let's get our pitchers 4 runs a game. If we score 4 runs a game, we are not going to lose. And, lately we've been putting runs on the board, giving our pitchers, a lot of run support. And, that lets them kind of pitch free and easy and be able to do their thing. And it's been a recipe for success.
Yeah, and let's talk a little bit about, some of the seniors, because you have a good amount of seniors on the team. Obviously, Evan Strauber is leading the way, 7 wins on the season, 100 strikeouts on the year, and only 16 walks. I think that's remarkable, because a lot of times you can get those pitchers that, get a lot of strikeouts and throw hard, but some of their command sometimes can be a little bit all over the place. He's obviously in command. He's given up 3 runs all year in 47 innings pitched. Talk about the kind of player that Evan Strauber is for you guys. And not to mention, not only does he pitch, but he has hit pretty well, 357 batting average this season with 11 RBIs.
Yeah, Evan is one of those, transcendent players at the high school level where, you don't see very often. He came in as a freshman, and, he was one of our starting pitchers immediately when he walked in as a freshman. His first varsity start as a 9th grader, he threw a complete game shutout with 15 strikeouts.
Wow.
So, immediately you realized he was going to be something special. And, he hasn't disappointed. And this year he has been, for lack of a better word, he's been stupid. Because, he steps on the mound, he's throwing 89 to 93 miles an hour. He can throw his curveball and changeup and slider for a strike. His best pitch is probably his 2-seam because it has so much run to it. And, like you said, he's pitched 47 innings this year in 8 starts. He's 7-0. He's given up 15 hits, 16 walks, and struck out 100. Opponents are only hitting 0.92 off him. He currently, right now, going into our game on Monday against Olmsted Falls in the district semifinals, he has a 39 consecutive scoreless inning streak where,
wow.
It's not even an earned run. He hasn't given up a run. And he's just been absolutely phenomenal on the mound. And then, like you alluded to, he's hitting 357, 5 doubles, 11 RBIs, 9 stolen bases. He can do it all. And, you look at him, and he's not a big kid. He's only about 6 foot, 170, 175. You look at him and the work he's put in and where he's at now, and you can see why he is, signed to a big time Division I school in Cincinnati, and possibly getting drafted in June by some major league team.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've talked to a lot of college coaches and probably professional coaches. What are some of the things that they say about Evan Strauber that is kind of interesting to hear them say? Because like you said, he can do it all. And when you look at high school baseball, it's not often you see 100 strikeouts, and the way he's pitching, it's translated. And Ohio has had a lot of good talent that has gone to the pros. What are some of the things that they've told you that they've seen from him?
Yeah, actually, after his start on Tuesday against Midview in our sectional final game, a scout from the Colorado Rockies was there, and he's seen him 3 times now. And I talked to him a little bit after the game, and he said he straight up told me he is the best high school pitcher he's seen in the last 5 years.
Wow.
And I it's really hard to disagree with him because like you alluded to in the intro, I've been doing high school baseball in some form, playing or coaching for a long time. And, he might be the best high school pitcher that I've ever seen, with the command of his fastball, the off-speed pitches he throws, the movement on his fastball, his command for the game. And, he's a bulldog. There's been situations, even on Tuesday where I think Midview had second and third one out, and he comes up and strikes the next 2 guys out. And, we're out of the jam and we're backing and hitting. And, you don't, as a coach, you really try not to take it for granted watching a guy like that on the mound.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really just, it's a joy to watch him pitch. And, hopefully he continues to have success this year and then, next year at the collegiate or, if he gets drafted and decides to go pro.
Yeah, it's pretty special to watch and to be a part of, I'm sure, for you. And you also have some other seniors. You have juniors and some other players that are coming up on this team. I mean, you have a decent amount of seniors that really contribute into big roles this season. Tell our listeners a little bit about your team and some other players that are really having some great years, especially the right field, Kyle Manton, who's having a heck of a year so far this year.
Yeah, Kyle Manton has actually, when he came up through the freshman and JV level, he was a second baseman. And then last year as a junior, we had a returning second baseman, who was very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew Kyle could hit. He was a good athlete. He's a 2-sport athlete, plays soccer. So we moved him out into the outfield, and he was like a fish in water. I mean, he just took to it naturally. And then this year, because Evan Strauber the last 3 years has been a leadoff hitter, and I've been looking for someone to take over the leadoff spot so we can get Evan kind of into the middle of the lineup, to extend us a little bit. And in the preseason, Kyle just had, looked great in the cage, great in our scrimmages. And I asked him because a lot of times some guys aren't comfortable with leading off. It's just not natural to him. I asked him, Kyle, do you think you could lead off? And he goes, yeah, coach, I'll do whatever you need me to do. And he stepped into that role, and he's been our leadoff hitter and right fielder every game. He's got 30 hits on the year. He's hitting .417. He scored 21 runs, 7 stolen bases. His on-base percentage is .521 because on top of his 30 hits, he's drawn 19 walks. So, I mean, he's the table setter, and he's been phenomenal. After Kyle, our junior first baseman, Jacob Lezon, he is a big, strong kid. He's an offensive and defensive lineman for the football team, so, that kind of tells you the strength he has. Right now, Jake has 35 hits, 6 doubles, a triple, leads the team with 4 home runs and 26 RBIs. He's on a roll right now. I think his last 5 games after today, I believe the last 5 games that would put him at 12 for his last 19. So, he's really hitting the ball really well. And, yeah, he's been fantastic for us in the middle of the lineup. Ryan Kawaki, our shortstop, he's literally played every inning of every game the last 3 years at shortstop for us. He is a Division I commit at Fairleigh Dickinson. He's hitting .319, 8 doubles, a home run, 18 RBIs. And again, another high on base percentage guy. On top of his 22 hits, he's drawn 23 walks. So we got guys, especially now that, like I said, the weather's heated up and the bats have heated up, which has been a good thing. Guys that are really seeing the ball well. And then I don't want to leave out Hunter Cassidy, our catcher. He is a Division II commit for Tiffin University next year. Hunter Cassidy, outside of Evan Strauber, who, would be a no-brainer, he might be our MVP because he works with our pitchers, as our catcher, and he does a phenomenal job behind the plate. He is one of the best defensive catchers I've seen this year. And he's having a good year offensively. You know, he's hitting 277, 4 doubles, a triple, 17 RBIs, and he has been fantastic. He's one of those guys where, you know, we got high strikeout pitchers. You know, Evan Strauber has 100 strikeouts. Jack Fate has 48 strikeouts. Anthony Barrios has 49 strikeouts. And if you're high strikeout pitchers, you know, you're getting a lot of, you know, curveballs in the dirt, you know, changeups in the dirt, high fastballs, and he has been outstanding behind the plate. And, you know, because especially at the high school level, you know, you start getting pass balls and, you know, wild pitches, you start giving teams extra bases. You know, that could be a recipe for disaster. And Hunter is just a wall back there. And, you know, it's one less thing to worry about as a coach.
Now in high school Hunter Cassidy, obviously, you know, and the Indians actually show with Jan Gomes calling some of the pitches for the pitchers. Do you let Hunter Cassidy call some of the pitches for the pitchers, or are you pretty much in charge of what pitch you want, when, and where for some of these pitchers? Because your pitching staff, I mean, look at the records. You know, I mean, like you said, Jack Fate and Anthony Barrios, they're having great seasons as well. A lot of strikeouts, and their records are both really impressive. Do you let Hunter Cassidy sometimes call the pitches, or how does that work?
For the most part, Mark Coughlin, our pitching coach, will call pitches.
Okay.
But once we get into a flow of a game, and especially with Evan, because, you know, Hunter and Evan have literally played together since they were like 10 years old. So he's been catching Evan basically their whole lives. So they have a really good, you know, rapport together. So sometimes, you know, Hunter will call the game. If, you know, us as a coaching staff, me and Coach Coughlin and my dad, we see something with certain hitters, because, you know, we put together scouting reports for the teams we play. We keep hitting charts. We know what other hitters' tendencies are. You know, so if we pick up on something with certain hitters, you know, Coach Coughlin, Mark will, you know, signal it in. It's probably with Evan maybe 50-50. With some of our other pitchers, Coach Coughlin will take more command. But, you know,
okay,
there's games where because of his work schedule, Mark can't be there, and, you know, I let Hunter go ahead and call the game. And today's game against Keystone on Senior Day, I let Hunter call the game, and, you know, he does a fantastic job back there.
Yeah, no, and you're seeing it, I mean, with your pitchers and your overall record. I mean, in all around, really, you don't see it too often in high school baseball, but a balanced team from really top to bottom. You know, your pitching staff has done a great job, and overall as a team. It's going to be fun to really see, you know, how this team continues to go. And now you have a little bit of a rivalry, I'd say, with Olmsted Falls, and that's where you look to next in the tournament. Tell us a little bit what you're looking forward to with your next matchup with Olmsted Falls in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, our two conference games that we played against Olmsted Falls this year have been really good games. At our place, we were able to scratch out a 2-0 win, where that game Strauber pitched and he had 19 strikeouts.
Wow.
So, you know, that always helps. And Jacob Lizon, as I talked about earlier, he hit a 2-run home run in the first inning, and that held up.
Wow.
And then we went over to their place a couple weeks ago, and Jack Fate pitched, and he pitched really well. And we were able to squeak out a 4-3 win. So, you know, I'm expecting a low-scoring, really close game on Monday, and, you know, hopefully we're able to come out on top. But Olmsted Falls is a really good team. They have a couple really good pitchers. You know, they have a solid lineup, you know, that can put the ball in play and cause some damage. So, you know, hopefully our guys come in focused and ready to play. And, you know, I think if we play well and, you know, Evan's on his game, hopefully we'll be happy with the result. But, you know, Olmsted Falls is a really, really good team, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, I look forward to big games and coaching in close games, and I think the kids look forward to, you know, playing in big games and playing in close games because, you know, especially the senior class, they've played in a lot of big games and a lot of close games over the past couple of years. You know, so we're excited.
Yeah, and, you know, I think when you're done with regular season, you can sense it's a little bit different when you get into the tournament, especially when you keep winning and, you know, mistakes have to be less and less. Do you see that with the regular season? You know, your team seemed to be focused pretty much all year when you have a 22-4 record, but regular season to tournament time, Do you see any of the kids pressing a little bit, and that's when you have to talk to them and say, it's okay, do exactly what you've been doing all season?
Yeah, one thing we try to do at practice a lot in the preseason is put the kids in pressure situations. Anything we're doing is we try to make it a competition, even if it's just, some kind of drill where we're just playing catch. The coaches are yelling and screaming and saying, hey, if you can't do it here, how can we trust you to do it in a playoff game? So we try to, obviously it's different in the gym in a practice in February than it is going to be on Monday, but you try to put the kids in pressure situations, even at practice. And the more comfortable they get in those pressure situations at practice, the more comfortable they'll be in pressure situations in a game. And then, be positive with them and, just like I said, if you're at the plate, the pitcher has to get you out. If he throws 4 balls, you're on first base, the next guy's up. If we're on the field, if you make an error, forget about it. We'll make the next play. We'll make the next pitch.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys have responded, and like we said, focus is a good word, because I think these guys have laser focus right now because they see how good they can be, and how well they can play, and hopefully that continues happening, and we'll see what happens Monday.
Well, it's been fun to watch you so far this season. And before we let you go, a few questions about you a little bit. 76 stolen bases in a season in high school. That's almost, I can't even imagine 76 stolen bases. I didn't even think that was possible.
Yeah, I think that year cause my senior year, we had a pretty good team. I think we, if I remember correctly, I think we were something like 19-9 or something like that at Emerald King my senior year. So I was the leadoff hitter, and I was fast. I ran a 4.47 40. I ran a 4.47 40, a 6.6 160, and I was a pretty smart base runner, being a coach's kid. So pretty much, if I was on first base, I was going to end up on third base. I had a few games where I had 6 stolen bases in a game. Straight stole home, I think 3 times my senior year.
Holy cow.
It was a lot of fun because, there was a couple times I remember where I would steal second and the shortstop was like, why aren't you running track? And because I love baseball, I just love playing the game, and, I love competing, whether it was football, basketball, baseball, I love competing. I love going out and playing and, trying to win. And one of the things I tell my kids now is, and it still holds true, I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. Like if we win a game, I'm like, all right, good, let's move on. If we lose, man, I take that stuff to heart. And and luckily for me, I've been blessed with, really, really good talent and really, really hardworking kids the last 6 years. And, I think I've kind of instilled that in these kids where, just hate to lose, just hate to lose. And, and so far it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I would say so. Xavier Moore went on to get drafted in the 16th round of the Major League Baseball draft. Ryan Rua, who we saw here in Cleveland not too long ago, in 2008, he's an Amherst graduate. He's with the Texas Rangers. So the Rangers must be out in the Amherst area a decent amount there, scouting your teams. Yeah,
with Ryan, I was actually Ryan Rua's freshman and JV coach. He was, my first 2 teams that I coached. And, he went on to Lake Erie College and had a fantastic career there. And obviously, the Rangers took him in the 17th round a few years ago. And, he's up with the Rangers now, playing outfield, a little bit of first base. And he's doing really, really well. And then, Xavier Moore last year, just like with Evan this year, they're scouts at every game he pitches. And, the Rangers liked what they saw. And, Xavier was fantastic last year. He had a really good rookie season down in rookie ball last year in Arizona. He's in extended spring training right now. I'm sure he'll end up, somewhere in a single A team in the Rangers organization. And, like we talked about earlier, Evan Schauber has a chance to get drafted this year. So, we had a really, really good run here the last few years at Amherst, and, hopefully these guys continue it.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, we appreciate you taking time to talk to us here today on Sports on Tap. And wish you nothing but the best of luck in the tournament and the rest of the season.
Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And that's head coach of the Amherst Varsity baseball team, Matt Rositano, joining us here on Sports on Tap. Thanks for listening.